Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. In today's episode, we are going to continue our community discussions because Z Corner is all about the community. So today's topics are going to be very, vast, diverse, and I just want to find out your opinions. For example, I think yesterday, right? Honorable Bowman Lusambo was having an amazing, confusing, and very intriguing conversation on Costa at Diamond TV, where he actually made a lot of proclamations. He said a lot of outrageous things, and we all know because we are all used to Honorable Bowman Lusambo. He is a pathological liar. That is a fact, because there are situations and instances where he just utters a lot of questionable things, if you know what I mean. But anyhow, this is one of the reasons why I want to find out from you. Then we're also going to be talking about the fact that PF continues to lose a lot of constituency seats because a lot of them have been nullified because there was a lot of malpractices during the campaign and the election period. So we are going to be talking about that. And then I also want to find out from you because it really seems Oscar Chavula, who happens to be the CEO of Hot Media, he says the CF squad needs to be abolished because there is a situation that recently happened where the CF people ended up shooting the wrong person. So, do you feel safe in society with the CF, not really distinguishing who the criminals are from the non-criminals, if you know what I mean? So, of course, I'll be looking forward to hearing your opinions because we are going to be talking about these different things. You already know the drill. If you want to participate and be part of this particular program, the link is being posted in the comment section right now. If you want to be part of this particular program, please make sure you turn on your video because when you turn on your video, it really enhances the chances of you being accepted. Okay. And just a kind reminder, kindly share this video right now. I know we have over 500 people watching us. Kindly share this video because today's conversation is going to be explosive. And I'm inviting you to participate. Please participate and let the people know your opinions because it's not really about me. It's about you. You are my bosses, Ichalo Bantu. And apparently, if Bowman Lusambo doesn't still know that, Abantu are my bosses. So, yes, let me even play the video in the background so that you guys can get a better context of what I'm talking about. So this is the video that we are going to be reacting to today. The interview, the infamous interview of Honorable Bowman Lusambo on Diamond TV. But in the meantime, let me just play you something which is very interesting it's relevant to the things that we are going to be discussing. So hold on, let me just grab that real quick. And we're going to be talking about the NATO forces as well, because it seems that Bowman Lusambo is trying to distance himself from the NATO forces. Now, I always keep on reminding you, ladies and gentlemen, that these politicians, they are to blame for a lot of violence, a lot of criminalities in our societies, because they have been funding criminal gangs. And this is an example, a prime example of the alleged criminal gang affiliated to Honorable Bowman Lusambo. In this particular episode, or rather clip, you're going to see the NATO forces riding an expensive Hilux branded bulldozer. So let's just take a look at this. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's the type of violence that a lot of people were subjected to during, the heydays of these people. So it's very unfortunate. If you look at the amount of violence that was committed, the amount of women who were harassed, raped, and it's very embarrassing and very disappointing. And just to think of the fact that we have a prominent person who is an office holder, sort of sponsoring these people and just basically funding their criminality to sort of, to say nothing but the least. But we also have some more information with regards to the interview that he had. So let me just share this brilliant story by Mwevant where they got to summarize the whole interview. So he made a lot of proclamations. He also said that Kabushi is never ever going to go to anybody else as long as he is alive. And then Honorable Bowman Lusambo further says that he's going to be back in the parliament tomorrow. So we'll see how that is going to go. And then he also said that during the PF times, right, there wasn't any sort of there was media freedom and people were basically free to do whatever they liked. And he also further said for example, Prime TV, he didn't know that Prime TV was closed due to political influence. So all these things are some of the things that he said. And remember, I am waiting for your participation. If you want to be part of this program right now, check the pinned link in the comment section, because that's where I have the invitation link. If you want the people to hear your opinions with regards to all the different topics that we have today, kindly join the link which is pinned in the comment section. So everybody is invited and allowed to be part of us. So I can see some people rolling through. Yeah. So when you join, please turn on your video, because we do not want to have guests who do not have their videos turned on. So while I'm waiting for my panelists to arrive, let me just play a short clip from the interview that Bowman had on Diamond TV.
Percent, which is a very good percentage, very good percentage, putting into consideration that the 2021 general election, it was a tripartite election. So to me, the turnout was overwhelming. It was overwhelming, and from the 38,000 people who turned out and came and cast their vote, the bulldozer, Bowman Lusambo, managed to get 18,400 plus. Okay, 18,400 plus. And the loser in that particular constituency election got 12,000 plus. And mind you, Mwans and viewers out there, we managed to win from the president.
Oh yeah, by the way, I meant C5, the C5 squad or team. That's what I meant. So yeah, thank you for the clarification, Billy Mulenga. So thank you for that clarification. I meant C5. All right, I see some people rolling through. Hi, good evening. How are you? All right. Okay. So Gift Mwanga, welcome to the show. How you doing? What's your reaction to Honorable Bowman Lusambo's interview yesterday? You need to unmute yourself, Gift. You guys already know the drill. Unmute yourself. All right. Okay. Let's kick him out. Nakonde voice, how are you? Good evening.
Good evening to you, Munalula. How are you?
I'm good. So what is your observation and contribution? What is your reaction to Honorable Bowman Lusambo's interview on Diamond TV?
First of all, we need to respect whatever comes from the judiciary, because we understand that the judgment that they don't make that judgment in their capacity, but on behalf of the state. So any ruling that comes from the judiciary must be respected. I think in my understanding, Honorable Bowman Lusambo was just supposed to keep quiet on this matter. He need to wait. He needs to wait for the outcome. Quite okay, they have nullified the seat, and then if he is planning to recontest, he can recontest. That's what I'm thinking, and that's my view. So I think it's not even important that Bowman Lusambo can continue now speaking against the judiciary or that. No, it's not good.
All right. So why do you think he's convinced that tomorrow he'll be back in Parliament? Like, what's up with that?
To be honest, I don't think he can go back to Parliament. I don't think so. Maybe he has other arrangements that he has made, but otherwise, according to the court has already ruled, and he must wait for other things to follow. That's what I'm thinking.
Right. And what do you think about his comment with regards to freedom in Zambia, specifically media freedom? So we had institutions such as, a TV station, Prime TV. It was shut down. So Mr. Lusambo said he didn't know that there was a lack of freedom with regards to, media and just basically people feeling free. So how does that comment make you feel?
No, actually, there is freedom of media. There is freedom of media in this country. He's just taking things in another
No,
angle.
he specifically said that during the PF time. So we're not talking about now. We're talking about then.
Oh yes, oh yeah. Okay, that one noted. To be honest with you, I think my brother, you can also agree with me that during the regime of the Patriotic Front, there was actually no freedom to media, because if you look at some of the medias were closed. They like to start with, the national broadcasting itself was only for the ruling government. But look at now. Some few weeks ago, I saw Sean Tembo featuring on the national television, which is a clear indication that the current regime respects the freedom of media. And they are not restricting any person, be it from the ruling party or opposition, to comment on the matters. Even, to have a live interview on the national broadcast, of which we never saw this happening in the past government. In the past government, if you are from opposition, then you cooperate with a certain media, and then you cooperate with a certain media. I mean, they even used to close such media platforms.
Right. So,
but with the current regime, people are able, even the opposition are able to go on ZNBC and air out their views without any interference or intimidation.
Right. So, why do you think he would say something like that? Do you think because he was he didn't really know what was going on, or maybe he was just, oblivious to the fact that people were experiencing, or rather having, such situations, because he was on the other end of the aisle, because he was part of the people who were benefiting from people being sort of put in a tight corner, if I can put it that way. Do you think that's maybe one of the reasons why he thought everything was normal and everything was fine? Is because he wasn't really on the receiving end of the harshness of the patriotic front? Why do you think he's oblivious to the fact that a lot of bad things were happening?
Okay, first and foremost, the way I know Bowman Lusambo myself, quite okay, is a leader, so to say, because people have been electing him in an office. But whatever he says on the media doesn't make sense. I don't know if he's a politician or a comedian. I don't know on that one. So he's a person who, he cannot be described. Because his character, even when he's talking to the media, that kind of a person who is, I don't know what I can say, disturbed somehow. I'm sorry to say that, but that's the way I look. Because, as a leader, when you go to the media, and that's a public media, you need to say something sensible.
Right. And what do you think about his proclamation as far as the Kabushi constituency seat is concerned? He said as long as he is alive, nobody will be able to take over it. He's basically going to be Pamupandu forever and ever. What do you think about that?
My brother Munarula, these are just words. Even the past regime, they used to say so, they used to say what. But when people have made a decision, no one can actually fight that. So he's just comforting himself. He knows that. Let me say he's shocked. Now he's trying to give himself that morale and to comfort himself. And I personally don't think it is possible for him to retain that seat.
Why do you think it's impossible for him to return the seat? You think the people of Kabushi have moved on?
I think so, because it's very hard again now that he's in opposition. It's very hard for him to get that seat. And on the other hand, if people from Kabushi constituency really loves Honorable Bowman Lusambo, why did they go in the street and started celebrating after hearing that the seat had been nullified?
Right.
That's my worry.
Right. Why do you think a lot of patriotic front people, especially prime example is Honorable Bowman Lusambo, why do you think they are so detached from reality? They are so insensitive, and they don't really have a sense of enlightenment with regards to how people generally feel. It's all about them and how they feel and what they want to do. Why do you think there's that discrepancy with regards to how they view reality?
The thing is, I think these people are trying just to mislead the public. Because, even you, Munaula, if you happen to stand as a member of parliament, even if you know that you get zeros, you still go out to people and say, no, me, I'll get maybe 75%, 95%. That's the nature of the patriotic front. And then they don't believe in democracy. The way I understand them, they don't believe in democracy, but they believe in using, dubious means to gain power. That's what they believe in. So no wonder you see they are saying, no, it's not possible that I can lose elections. It's because they don't, tell people the truth, but they use cash. I don't know if they have cash, they give out cash. That's what I've observed about this, political party.
Right. And what do you think about the Patriotic Front losing a lot of seats at this particular moment? It seems they are being neutralized. And for example, we have word coming through constituencies such as Chimwewe, Lunte, plus a whole lot more, about 5 constituencies have been, the results have been nullified. How do you think this is going to affect the biggest opposition party, going on forward?
Yeah, truly, they have been affected. In fact, this will affect, the Patriotic Front in the sense that if they have less members of parliament, in the National Assembly, meaning it will be very hard for them, to oppose certain, to oppose certain policies made by the ruling regime. Because, a lot of motions that are raised, or maybe they have to be supported by 2/3. Is it 2/3 or
Yeah,
3/3.
2/3 of the members of parliament.
Yes. So if they cannot reach that, meaning all the program that the ruling party will be bringing in the parliament, the positive always. So they will be affected. They will have no way to say in parliament.
Right. Do you think this is going to genuinely help us sort of detect how effective the Patriotic Front is post-election loss? Do you think this is going to be like the solidifying evidence which is going to certify whether the Patriotic Front still has a good number of supporters on the ground?
The thing is, you see, in parliament, to be honest, we need even those people who are opposing. Meaning the opposition should also have some members of parliament so that they can be opposing those policies which are being raised by the current regime. And then on part of the Patriotic Front, I think this is the downfall of the Patriotic Front, to be honest. Because if let's say they will have maybe 20 members of parliament against 80 something, do you think is there anything that they can support and pass in parliament? The answer is no. So that will be the downfall of the former government.
Right. So, Nakonde Voice, thank you very much. I'll be coming to you. You very good back and forth banter with you. You're very sharp. Good. So let's bring over Reason Bota. Reason Bota, welcome to the show. How are you, sir? All right, Reason left. Let's pass it over to Gift Mwanga. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Good day. I'm fine. How are you?
Very good. So, Gift. Laka. Gift.
Yes.
Who do you think is going to be able to lead the Patriotic Front and make them a solid political party?
Nefe ningalanda fe pali aba mdala aba Lusambo awa. Because behavior nalalanda fe fintu fibiri. Behavior aba mdala abatairi bwino. Mone nefe bale chita kurwansha nshikusha kunu mashama kampeni. Bale abantu bale chita fya tashita. Na papene na abafuma mu parliament bachi bale tarika kwe batyo Tuesday kampani. Bakaya shani. Abate abantu bakuleta mu public aba mdala aba bali kwa temisango ebefe ningalanda fe ine mwe bantu.
Va Gift muli bakulwansha?
Wendi wakukitwe.
Muli bakitwe. Okay, so mkwai. Konkanya nipo.
Futi abatete fintu monene fefe misango yabo wani kuli mirandu imbiri kuno okuya kulwansha kuli ne mirandu ine ile umfika pamidi yote tulande futi kwa isa ne muntu we umowine kuti wabashani lidawa abantu ngaule echita misango ya musango tete fiwombeke bwino nabambi barandepo nalakonkanya.
Okay, but munavutikira kwisa va Gift tatora poko mituti kama questions tuchiri tureranda munefokuya kwisa kare niko na ifo panono so va Gift
kuti mwanji
network ile shupa shida myumva bwino ka network ka tripa
so
all right ka network kare shupa ya ndefo kwipshati
kwati ka network
all right. Okay, network issues. All right. Okay, let me do that. Let me bring in King B. King B, welcome to the show. Kindly turn on your video. King B, you are next up. Kindly turn on your video. How are you doing, sir? Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mona.
Good. So, let's talk about the most outrageous things Honorable Bowman Lusambo talked about in the interview. Did you watch the interview, by the way? The full interview?
Yeah, though I didn't finish the interview, but I watched a part of it when this man was interviewing him.
Yes, can you stop moving? Like, we're going to be drowsy. There's a lot of people watching you. Just be stationary in one, position. Then don't fidget.
Yeah, where I was, there was noise. That's why I moved from that side.
Good. So, Honorable Bowman Lusambo says Kabushi will forever be his until he dies. What do you think about this statement?
No, he's just, I don't know. This man he's in denial that the seat was nullified.
Right. Why do you think he's in denial?
This man, I think, to the way I have observed him, is the kind of man who is like, he doesn't want any other person like to lead the Kabushi constituency. He thinks he can be a member of parliament forever at Kabushi constituency. Wow, there is other people who can lead those people from Kabushi constituency.
Right,
And
but King B, I've got a question. Why do you think a lot of African politicians, not only Zambian politicians, but African politicians, we have a tendency of these people having monopolistic tendencies where they feel, or rather, once we give them an opportunity to lead for a certain period, right, they end up really getting attached to the idea of power, influence. Why do you feel a lot of African politicians never ever want to let go of the seat?
I think most of African politicians, why they don't want to leave those positions, because they're sometimes other politicians, they are like because of the that power attached to that position, and the issue of corruption, because when they lose that power, they will not have that opportunities to have maybe linked to the other like contracts, other businesses. That's what I can say.
King B, what you're saying is these people are incapable of earning money in different ways besides their regular shenanigans, like being a tenderpreneur, making sure that all the contracts come to them. Do you think they have the capacity to run businesses and just be independent, minus them taking advantage of the positions that they are given?
There are there who can run businesses, but there are few African politicians who can run business minus being attached to a political something. There are few African leaders who can do that, but they are there. But like, for example, our man whom we are discussing, I don't think he can do business minus being attached to the certain political or something like government position. He cannot. That's the reason why he's like, no, me to move me from that position, no one can move me or no one can replace me. That's why he was talking like that.
Right. And one thing that I can also, say about that particular proclamation is that's a very that's something a dictator would say. That's something. If this man was ever to become the president of Zambia, trust me, he wouldn't leave the seat at all. So, as politicians, I know there's a lot of prominent people who watch our program. Hello, we really respect you, and we really, really we are appreciative of all the work that you have done, but please be very careful with the statements that you make, especially in public, because young people like us will be scrutinizing and talking about what you're doing. So saying a statement like that, saying and he's just an MP. Imagine if he was the president, And this also reminds me of Barack Obama. He was saying that he wonders why a lot of politicians, African politicians especially, never want to leave the seat. I am 100% sure that being a politician is stressful. It's way too stressful. You can live a peaceful life running a business and just being an entrepreneur. But why do these people always want to hold on to a particular seat? That is just beyond me. Anyway, King B, go on.
I think as a leader, that man, he was not supposed to say or to utter such words, because who votes or who puts people in leadership? It's citizen or voters, not him to claim that no one can replace him. Yeah, that's what I can say. Now he was like, no one can remove me on that seat. Kabushi, it's mine. No one. I will be there forever. And when the interviewer was interviewing him, he was not even answering the question what the interviewer was questioning him. He was answering something different.
But he always does that. Honorable Bowman Lusambo always goes in his own direction. He never replies to whatever you're asking him. It must be frustrating having an interview with him.
Such kind of readers, I think, we cannot continue putting people like that man who cannot answer the question the way he was asked or he was questioned.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, King B. Let me pass it over to other people because we've got like a number of people joining us. So King B, just be in the background. We'll get back to you. So Kabushi graduate, you since you're close to Bowman Lusambo, you guys are living in the same neighborhood, you're from the same era. What do you think about Honorable Bowman Lusambo's interview, especially due to the fact that you are a Kabushi resident?
Anyway, Mr. Moon, I would like to first by greeting all the panelists. Good evening. And also good evening to the viewers out there. I think looking about the interview for Mr. Bowman Lusambo, this is what we have been talking about. If you actually go for the interview, I think there's this thing you're supposed to carry in mind. I'm sure before you're going for the interview, I'm sure you'll be given what to be interviewed. So ababa Bowman mwali ba arrogance. Inepali wanzu kuna another fact ba Bowman ba politician ni ba philosophy. Mwai mwanaka. Because the sitting abaistana rifai, mwanfu baistana rifai. Meaning ni wajita wake. Minomba katwishi bena kailina bwena bali landatsi bali bama politics. Chikole chama politics ofo bayita mukabushumu. Ero nombenga mwamona naba Diamond TV bene eba pangana mistake bali ishbat umuntu ofo bamwipush if yakwe wansho bachita interview. Cause ba Bowman if barandats Kabushi and states ba poke. Inote kingdom Kabushi awe ni constituents na pisanana kingdom. Mamona number every day ba Diamond CV na bena they just want to make a name because they know the person they are calling that this person has been nullified. And we are even hoping for the by-election. Can you even have that power and energy to go and actually interview Mr. Bowman? And what actually do you expect from him? Negativity over there and about Bowman. So me, I was not even surprised because umuntu we forward so I also leave it for the young ones. That's how even President Chaka said a clique of thieves. Mr. Mona, now it comes to me to say mu government yali bafika bali fyana abantu fo tukarabomba fe mu government. Now where are the other youths? Ngabe nabakashitako enjoy if into was one mukura 3 mwali banyonga ama mindos na mwali banyonga tuweza kona kufia charo governing mwali banyonga. So meaning if we can have such people, then there is no need of us learning civic education in these schools. Chama by banning up because not quite tungurish kwats ba Bowman. But bena bari for one bari ejabeka bari monekera beka mu parliament. So inani mbona kwati mu parliament aba abantu ifirayo utuma allowances notuma salary turabashita sana obubi echo bakonka mofye nombo muchushe nakashita shani benefits namukwata lidenge abo efofu baliranda batata kumwaya kuisaze constituency tema interviews twingala umfano kumfwaya mukabushaya okay inofoni ingalanda fefofine fyakwe ati but Bowman, whatever he tries, even God actually works in a mysterious ways. So emanga muranda Kabushi you prove to the court. Na di umfati mwarishta fa constitutional court. Although nde umfati. Number, from Papa Fiakobat, you never even said anything mu parliament during the PF regime. You always kept quiet. Ne tuntui not furoba ishire mipira kutawat mwako minister of copper belt mwako minister of Lusaka province mwareo mafia mapia abantu ba covid nomba nayo ya mapi mwareo tamware pera ma mask mwamona so ba Bowman the way forward is for you to venture into other things like farming. I think a dad that said much pali if it tries ayesa bibali bweshako ba mudara cause na bene bali kwete go tuma fish ponds so na abo bene fe let him go and start fishing or farming. Nangu let him venture into aquaculture. Chapwa not if ya kweba ti yandika bush. We yara bashani yabo. Moreover, you Bowman, you have not even grown in Kabushi. History muka tuwe buino pa social media Kabushi mwafia because this is what is actually amazing me. The people that are actually standing in these constituencies, muneza ngafia tumuntu kala ikerepo mnamsed constituency adire nama challenges taeshwe because fetuli bachushi uwa isafie just because vobara chinga bata wali monekerepo mu 20 chakutuko batekala kulusaka nombe fo tukaramu chitasa number of roads ama challenges tukwete omuntu inga wakulusaka yama problems tukwete so nomba tuto basambilisha political science ba Bowman ala bafisa kofimo ingala beba fie chinka bebere batate fofo muchita tefyo because ifofo baliranda fyonse fe bamuna mwashira tambishap omuntu fyo ole tontonga na fya na reasonable fimbi fya kupusa no kupusa uyu muntu ube patwali umfuire mu parliament atiyo ba ma parents baka bifuro oronsha abantu kale bafwa nomba nangu mwe bantu murafwana ngwe representative because nishibaka bush twarese bana all the videos and the parliament proceedings bakabushi info fwe bari monekeramu kairi ifria yabati umwana ngare behavior inefofo nde moneke kumona motata muline so ifenga umuntu ngare behavior fwe bari monekeramu ni fwebo fwere bari musala so yoba muna yena ba Bowman mwanzini ina even ina
name kwachirako question so ba Bowman badelanda na bashita disassociate nama ATO Forces bayanda tawe ababa nyamata abanshabe shiba so since you are from Kabushi mletira poshan is Bowman Lusambo likely to disassociate himself from the ATO Forces and do you think that's believable?
That one, Mr. Muna, it is actually not believable because Bowman, those people, they were very close. And those people, they were even rented. There is a certain guest house where those people, they were actually sleeping. But so, I remember we actually had the peace accord with Honorable Frank Tarin about Bowman. The NATO forces were there. Peace accord. I think most of you, you heard, even Naimoni Bamuna Mwalimu when doing our campaigns.
Not we had to make a corner, as a matter of fact. We have the video.
That even video, I was also there. I also went to witness because in a most referenced Kananguma campaigns, Share campaign sana Mukabushi. I liked to campaign in Dollar Central where Mr. Tayari stood na mubwana mkubwa. I think Mukabushi constituency someone chikara. Kwa bebe feeling ana mkwata kwa door to door because abari umana banato for state to fuara oro tetaranda teta state dissociate. Last time now it was just a group of people who wanted sponsor. Now we can challenge Mr. Bowman to say pari barabe ne banato force Mr. Muna na nguni security because ufuire wa kwata ba security ba said word mwamona Now, where did he get those the NATO forces? Mutali. And when you remember you're in the NATO forces, I think I read something. You say, because I think there is something if you are Russia, number ninda bafina Karina Fibuna, Karina Ishre Tapo Browse Bafia NATO forces. NATO forces came with Bowman. Even people they can bear witness with me, but NATO forces they came with Bowman. This person knows the reason why is actually refraining from them, because those people they have done so many damages. But you must so we are in Garanda Tari Buno. You'll be questioned to Grandati. Akaba Muridina Ukwa Muksonta, whatever NATO forces. Okay, ngakutwaranda so iraranzi kuzarenja ba NATO forces uwaishe ista sponsor ni nani? Because muntu mowine yo muntu bomfwa ubufi obwaranda mu parliament no mbefi aba NATO forces ofo twarasumi na kitabeshibe. No. Olora marabene ba NATO forces abengita bari ba mukabushi muno mwine katwisho ko bayireba kitako adopt uko so that ngabauma abantu babu tukafutsi baya nombaya manwa. That's why we are saying Bowman, you are no more in Kabushi. Let's also others they take place. Na bena bonfwe ko bwino. Ngefo wale umfabuno kaire twadishba paliamu aliarusha kwati na kalimo mwalibika poamani. So amani na yatobeka bakabushi take off at mwapera fya mabunga. Oro nomba this time nende commissioner bakabushi. Nkamone feno kapero muntu ifibunga tukarapo kamunyo doni takuri kupera obunga ma campaign no tuma phone ukupera abakote, because this is what used to happen. Omuntu amipere fyakulya aremirira popa muru. Look at the constituencies bamuna, they were getting 1.6, but look at the roads constituency yambi kuwa kumbwa no kumbwa, but us we have the bulldozer mamona. That's why na machine yambi inochonkani na Mr. Mona like what bulldozer bushechtensh, because na yena itoba fe mamona ka. So neo ine yareto bafeka iri yareto bafya ma structure ya Kabushi constituency ire to bataire kura.
Tuatasha sana about Kabushi graduate. Let me give room to other people as well, but we'll bring you back again. Irene, hi, good evening. Welcome to the program. How are you doing?
All right, Muna, how are you? Nice to be part of this chat.
Good.
It's very, very, very interesting. First and foremost, you can see freedom of speech has come to Zambia. I'm actually joining this stream from London. I'm based in London, Zambian based in London. And I've been following the Zambian politics very closely. I come from a very political kind of family.
Which one is that, if it's not a secret?
It's not. My grandfather was once deputy speaker in the 1960s in UNIP.
Okay, what's his name?
Mr. Muo.
Mr. Muwawa. All right. Okay.
Yes, yeah. And my dad worked for the civil service for a very long time. And that's in the Kaunda times up to the time he passed in the time of Chiluba. And then I'm a niece to the late Mr. Michael Chilufyasata. And my mom was his first cousin. So politics has been part of me growing up. And to see the transition from where we came from the UNIP government into MMD and then PF, we thought we had come back to we had a democracy when MMD came into power. That time I was still based in Zambia. Unfortunately, I was forced to migrate because of the privatization program. I stayed on the Lusaka and the Copper Belt working under ZCCM. When it was privatized, moved over. That's how come all this, me being abroad and everything has come up. But if you see the transition, when we thought we had democracy, when multi-party democracy, MMD came in, we thought we had some sort of freedom to speak. And that continued until the changeover of government. And you could see slowly people were taking advantage of being in power. And the likes of Bowman Lusambo actually had too much power vested in them as members of parliament, as members of the Central Committee, as cabinet ministers, where they could get away with everything they did wrong, and nobody was there to sort of like point it out. So there was a decline in people having a way to speak up, people having a way to, you know, everybody was just subjected. I mean, seeing those videos full of criminality, there's no way Bowman Lusambo, and on moral grounds, even everything that has been in media, with his associates, even the truths that have come out that we didn't know about the amount, the scale at which these people stole. Bowman himself is part of it, and we're yet to hear. Because the president that they had, unfortunately, Lungu just watched every minister do whatever he likes. There was no rule of law. The Zambian people could not speak. Now you can even see the sense of freedom. Look at you streaming lively. If you were in the recent past, if you were streaming live and talking about any member of cabinet or any minister or something, the next thing is they'll stitch you up with something and you'll be locked up. So imagine the people he dealt with in Kabushi itself, seeing that video with that. And you know, some of these words like NATO are always associated with war. If I remember correctly, I think NATO forces were somewhere like in Cuba, you know, where there was serious war crimes and stuff and everything. How do we even start to think that Zambians had affiliated criminal gangs? Look at all these innocent Kalimanshi. That was a problem that was going to come up. So there were many others that weren't as eminent. And obviously, as the last speaker was saying, Bowman must have sponsored this group, because if a car with some of these criminals is raging right through neighborhoods and everybody's scampering into their houses, and
Well, something happened to your sound. We can't hear you.
oh, can you hear
Okay,
me now?
Yeah, now you're back. Mhm,
Yeah.
go on.
I said, if people can scamper into their houses when these so-called NATO people arrive in Kabushi to go and get someone from the opposition, and his nickname, so-called bulldozer, is on. Come on. This goes without saying. Is this the sort of democracy we're looking for? Are these the sort of leaders we're looking for? And most of his arguments, I follow them on stream when he's on live on TV and everything. Very unfounded. He is so incoherent. He doesn't give good points and everything. And he's so full of himself. 3/4 of the Zambians were suffering. And you'd come up and say, Imwe, 2 million nifinshi, 2 shopping at 2 million titwaisu shaba. How many people even earn up to about more than 4,000, 5,000 kwacha in the civil service? Very few people. Who can afford a day's 2 million? I mean, there are other associates. When I'm on holiday, you see these people sort of sponsoring drinks in places like Granddaddy's. They blow even up to 1 million over expensive drinks and everything. And prominent government officials. Why should we have somebody like Bowman? They're all the same. They're all covered with the same blanket. They're all very, very ridiculous. And Bowman Lusambo was part of the regime that the 2.8 people, unfortunately, I didn't make it to go and vote because of the COVID restrictions. But to be honest, I supported PF when it came in. But with all the changes, I was one of those people that said, it's time for change. And I wasn't just sort of talking about time for change from a distance, but I'm actually a registered voter. I am still very Zambian and very still connected to the Zambian society.
Right. So with regards to the recent happenings, right, well, we have seen a lot of different, MPs and their elections being nullified. Some people are saying this is obviously something which is being done in order to sort of neutralize and make the Patriotic Front weak. What do you think about this particular statement, and how would you respond to that?
Unfortunately, it's always good to have opposition to do the checks and balances in Parliament. And very little of that will be done because the numbers have sort of dwindled. They've really dropped. So the ruling government, which is UPND now, have got an upper hand. Anything that they'll put to motion will be voted in, and there won't really be. Even if people talk, as long as they're in government, they have an upper hand. But if you look at the criminality, let there be new parties. This is the beginning of the end of PF. Nobody can trust them. But I know there'll be other people that might come up that might be able to, I know to take a long time, especially now that it's happening now. Already UPND are a majority, and with the nullifications, it puts everybody in opposition, in the negative of what the positive will be for UPND when a motion is passed in Parliament, and a lot of things will go. But on the outside, we've become vocal. People can see. And now even UPND know that once they mess up, the Zambian people will go in large numbers and they'll be voted out of office. The civic education has gone round, which is a plus for the country. A lot of us people now are more vocal. We're able to express ourselves and more exposed. So people know the best war is won in the ballot. And if someone had some criminal charges and everything and a lot of criminality, and people have got evidence, like we've rightly seen with Bowman, come on, we've got every right to nullify his seat.
Definitely. And the other question that I wanted to ask you is, what makes the Patriotic Front different from the MMD situation? Because we obviously saw the MMD disappear into oblivion after they were voted out by the Zambian people. So what really gives the Patriotic Front a lot of confidence with regards to bouncing back? And can you just compare MMD post-elections 2011 and the Patriotic Front political party post-elections 2021? What dynamics are different between these two political parties?
You know what? There's really not much of a difference because both of them became big-headed. When you have a political party being in government for more than 10 years, they become so complacent, and instead of delivering like the way MMD had started for the first 10 years to improve the government, if you compare the cabinet that we had in the beginning of MMD, the time of the Dean Mungombas, the sort of the people we called the Young Turks and everything, and the new cabinet that just came into PF, when Sata had the idea of developing Zambia. Unfortunately, he passed on 3 years down, his tenure. And that's when things just went bust because, and I somehow, I also blame Sata because he did not put somebody there that he trained. A good leader will always have somebody to take over from them. And that did not happen in all the parties because all of them become very comfortable and then they start to pilfer. They start to steal. It's a source of living and not a service to the people. And that's it's a general rule for all the Zambian politicians and all the parties that have come into play. Unfortunately, that's what it is. The educated don't get recognized. The business people have to be connected to somebody. And I think we as Zambians also allowed it because we always used to think of nichekereko. I mean, if we are charging a person like Chuva for buying so many suits and everything, remember how big-headed it became and everything, appointing relatives to diplomatic services when they're not supposed to, when they're not qualified and everything. It's a change that has to happen across board, even with the current government. The civic, like I said, the civic education amongst people has become so evident. People know what to do and people can speak out and everything. They will vote them out, and all we're looking for now is a future for our children. Some of us want to return home. We've got a place called home called Zambia. What about the people that are growing up? What are we leaving? It breaks my heart to see the copper belt because that was the breadbasket of Zambia. I was trained by ZCCM. Why should I be serving the British? Yet, because of politicians, I have to be forced to live in the diaspora and serve the British people and not the Zambians that trained me for free under ZCCM. So the politicians and the way politicians do things generally has to change.
Thank you. And do you remember how many MPs the MMD had in post 2011? Because that's very important. In order for us to compare post PF against post MMD, election losses. We have to look at the statistics. How many MPs did the MMD have then in comparison to the Patriotic Front now? And if we look at the history, after 10 years, right, MMD has got no MPs in parliament, and they basically have no councillors, if I'm not mistaken. So that is very important in order for us to find out the trajectory of the Patriotic Front. So do you recall how many MPs were left? Mr. Miyova, if you can come in, that would be good as well.
It was quite proportionate that people could argue, even if MMD were a majority, the opposition sort of were on the half with a mixture of different parties.
Irene, your sound has become muffled. I think you're blocking the mic.
Am I blocking it? Can you hear me now?
Well, it's not really as good as it was last time. But anyway, carry on.
Is that better?
Lovely. Perfect.
Okay. I said the proportion was very, very, it was like, like when you've got a graph, it was like 1 out of 3. Because then we had opposition from different, it was proper multi-party politics. But now it's more like the ruling party and very few opposition and very few independent. And the independents seem to have been sponsored by the previous ruling party. So they don't really have policies to stand on as per se. They were riding on other people's popularity, which makes it imbalanced. Parliament at the moment is imbalanced because of the checks and balances. And even if we say we're in an alliance, UPND still have an upper hand. You see?
Right. Does the alliance have any MPs? I don't. Do you think so?
No, the alliance doesn't have any MPs. I've seen the cabinet. They've elected Mr. Mutati, who's a president for part of the alliance.
Yes.
He's a cabinet minister for some information and something like that, but he's got no members of parliament.
Right.
And he's working with the policies. They've made an agreement to work with the ruling party. So even if the alliance is a good idea to try and channel the change, representation for multi-party politics is non-existent. We could easily go back to a one-party state, which we're in the UNIP days.
Right, but this can't happen if the Patriotic Front return the seats, because now that a lot of seats have been nullified, right, there's going to be by-elections, so there is still an opportunity for them to redeem themselves. But if the people decide...
But the confidence in people will just vote them out because of the truths that have come up. If we look at the 65 million, what would I be doing with 65 million in my house? Up to today, people are still looking for answers and prosecutions. Look at the locking up of that Mr. Nyoni at the airport. This is someone who was serving in the foreign service. Will we trust the PF ever again? Because they're capable of hiding criminals, they're capable of hiding so much money, and there's no middle class. It's either you're very rich or very poor.
Right. Thanks, Irene. Let me pass it over to the other people, because there's also other people in queue right now. So, just stick around, because I've got a lot of questions. So it would be good to continue the conversations. So let me just invite Mr. Miyova. Then we're going to have Brother Jason and then Tiki later on. Mr. Miyova, what do you think is the future for Zambian opposition political parties, and do they stand any chance of surviving due to the fact that the UPND is...
Hello, Mone.
Yeah. Hello? Yeah, so my question is, do you feel the different opposition political parties are going to be able to offer proper checks and balances with regards to, opposing certain bills, certain motions in parliament, because they are obviously not going to meet the 2/3 threshold requirement? So how do you see opposition political parties in the long run being a challenge for the UPND once PF is out of the equation?
Well, there'll be, to be honest, hi there. There will be very little checks and balances, as my sister said, that the cabinet will look like one-party state, because the UPND, they are raising the bar, and what we are seeing now with this nullification of the seats. So they are likely that they will go to UPND because people are still hating. And what has come out from PF and like Bowman Lusambo, what the interviews that he has been offered and the irrelevancies that he has uttered, definitely people of Zambia now, they are very upright. They are liberated. And I don't think they would look back to go back where they were, being beaten and being gassed. And I don't think a majority would look into that. I know there are some who have been or given money, but I know PF has been saying, remember they were saying, UPND won't rule, and they will only rule in after 100 years of us. This is 100 years now for UPND, they have ruled. And Lusambo was saying we are on holiday, we are on retreat. So that's what he was saying last month. We are on retreat, we will bounce back. But his seat is now actually nullified. So we have to look at in a narrow way now, was to see if he will be bouncing back to Kabushi itself, not the government. So they are narrowing, actually, the opposition, they are narrowing because there's no other opposition. MMD is gone. The other oppositions, they got zero. There is only one, members of parliament from Hamudul. So it's going to be difficult really to have checks and balances in cabinet.
Right. So, but do you think this is the fault of the UPND? Because they are doing this in a very natural and organic manner, if I can put it that way. They haven't used any force. They're just being better than the competition, and they are outplaying the competition. So as much as it is bad to have like a lot of MPs in parliament because you're going to be untouchable with regards to coming up with whatever bills and motions, right? But on the other side, right, flipping the scripts, right, they're just being good at politics, and there isn't any other political party that managed to scoop seats and have MPs. So how do political parties begin to position themselves in being able to produce a lot of MPs and just be able to balance up the parliament?
Well, they have to recognize that they are actually servants of people, not the arrogance that we are seeing in there, because otherwise they won't be irrelevant anymore. So if they recognize, to say, well, we lost the elections because of our arrogance, because of our irrelevance, because of brutality that we had. So now let's change, and we apologize that we did that, and then they get rid of the cadres, because those that contributed a great deal actually to the loss of BPF because of how they conducted themselves in the community. So if they start actually analyze how UPND is ruling the country, and then they start actually also rebuilding and put somebody who actually people have got confidence, not the same people relevancies like CK or Lubindas and all those things. Otherwise, they won't go anywhere. So they have to look for someone who is very neutral, that at least the people have got confidence and who mobilize the people actually to raise the party. And otherwise, they won't have any relevance at all.
Right. So, how far does your memory go with regards to the UPND? Because I remember there was this very important bill 10, that really caused a lot of it brought in a lot of debate, a lot of talks here and there. And for some reason, the UPND was able to dodge that particular bullet. So, how did the UPND manage to become very prominent and powerful in parliament? And how long did it take for them to have enough members of parliament to be of substance with regards to allowing and disallowing certain bills?
Well, this luckily, actually, we were lucky. UPND had quite a good number of MPs in parliament, and then UPND cabinet, members of parliament in there, they were assisted with the independent MPs, so that helped. That really helped. Otherwise, that butane was getting there, and this time I don't think it would be in a good state. I don't have much information about back in MMD what happened, but butane, I think UPND, they walked out when they were doing that, and they could not pass the bill because they could not actually meet the 2/3 of the votes. So that's how that flopped.
Right. Thanks, Mr. Miova. Let me ask Brother Jason. I'll get back to you, Mr. Miova. So just stay right there. Do not go anywhere. Brother Jason, welcome to the show. Now, Brother Jason, we're having a history type of lesson, and I'm sure you're very conversant with Zambia's political history post 2011. How did the MMD become so irrelevant in parliament? Now, I know I really respect and love Dr. Mumba, but I'm saying, they do not have any MPs in parliament, so they don't really have like that much power. So what I'm trying to say is how did that happen from being a ruling political party to not even having an MP? How did that happen, Brother Jason?
Brother Muna, thank you so much for inviting me to be part of the show.
You're always welcome. This is your home.
May I just say good evening to the fellow panelists and the viewers. I think there is the one thing that all Zambians should know concerning how MMD actually lost the grip when it comes to being influential, from being a ruling government and also becoming an opposition party. Politics, they say, is all about having numbers. And for you to have numbers, you need to convince people on the ground. When you win the hearts of people on the ground, it becomes very easy for you to gain that influence, to the extent that even if there are other people with different views of thoughts, still people, they will be there to back you up. Now, what happens in politics, actually, Muna, is that when you lose confidence, actually, of the electorates, the voters, it becomes a very big problem to defend yourself. Because actually, no one will be able to stand on your behalf and be able to pressurize whatever decision the sitting government could have made against you. So I think the reason why MMD lost power is because of what we are seeing happening to these the likes of Avena Bowman. When people assume power, sometimes they have a long philosophy. They have a long philosophy of life, and sometimes they play politics like of the 1964, whereby they can come to people, they tell them lies, and thinking that people will vote them based on their lies. So now what the politicians should know is that people this time around, actually they have got relevant information concerning who's supposed to be a leader. And looking at the way PF actually ran all the affairs of this nation, they had put every Zambian life at stake. Every Zambian life was fearful for whatsoever foolishness that might have happened against somebody who was not actually supporting the PF. So MMD, like you asked, they lost power, and they lost the grip of influence for governance, all because they had lost it on the ground, Brother Muna. When you lose it on the ground, it becomes very difficult to keep up the buzz up there, because the people are supposed to push you, the people are supposed to act as your ladder. They are no longer with you. So it becomes very difficult. I'm sure that's how I can answer your question, Brother Muna.
Right. That's a very profound point, Brother Jason. And you see, as much as the bulldozer can be very popular in Kabushi, people are aware, the grassroots are aware that if they ever need development, they need to work with an MP who is closely aligned to the ruling political party. This is one of the reasons why a lot of people from Western Province and Northwestern Province have been complaining, saying, we weren't getting as much development, and you know, a lot of things weren't pushed. So do you feel there is a disassociation between what Honorable Bowman Lusambo thinks and how popular he thinks he is, and what the genuine concerns of the grassroots people, I mean, the people in Kabushi, do you think there's an imbalance there? And what's the best way for a constituency to develop? Is it working with an MP who belongs to a ruling political party, or just working with any MP, as long as they are an MP?
Yeah, I think, Brother Muna, that is another concern we have in our country when it comes to constituent developments, and also working with these MPs. You know, as a government which is called the government, you know, it is a government for everyone. So now, when you are in government, it shouldn't be like the way PF did or these other previous administration were doing, to say, no, if we have an opposition in this constituency, we don't have to concentrate on pushing developmental agendas in such a constitution. You know, it becomes a disadvantage actually to the sitting government, because, you know, people become to think otherwise. That's where now you see the issue of tribalism, the issue of being incompetent for the sitting government. This is the reason. So now, what I can advise, I'm sure, for the sitting government is to make sure that even as they are pushing up developmental agendas, they don't have to look at this one is an independent MP, this one belongs to this political party. They should ensure actually what they should be doing. They should ensure that they push developmental agendas in each and every constituency, regardless of whether one is a UPND member of parliament, whether one is MMD, is PF, is an independent, so that at least that will create a vantage point for the sitting government to keep winning, because they will be not saying this MP has worked, you know. They will be saying the government is working. Look at what happened. You know, PF lost power, if you remember, in Ron constituency, all because of that manner of doing politics. If you go to Ron, if you just go to Ron, or if you just come to Luansha, you can see how things are bad, starting from the roads and to so many other things that were connected to government agenda. We could see roads being developed in other areas, but all because Ron constituency became an opposition constituency, the government neglected it, and it was difficult for them. You will remember the OPF went to Ron, they campaigned, including the president, but what happened? They lost. So what I can advise the sitting government is that they should not look at, I know this one is not part of us. As long as the sitting government is called the government, it has to ensure that developmental agendas are spread uniformly across the country. By so doing, actually, they are going to build a vantage point upon which they are going to pull a lot of individuals, a lot of electorates, even in those same constituencies where they were doubting them, because they'll be looking at those developmental agendas. Now, if we begin to say, no, we don't have to associate this constituency, or because it is an opposition, actually, that will be the genesis of the fall of the sitting government. If this sitting government has to win, actually, the hearts of the people at the grassroots, they need to make sure that they push developmental agenda in each and every constituency, so that members of the public can win confidence in them and can keep praying to say HH for 2036. I don't know, somewhere there. I think that's how I can answer your question, Brother Muna.
All right. Thank you, Brother Jason. Let me ask Tiki this question. So, Tiki, as far as independent members of parliament are concerned, right? And of course, we already know some prominent independent members of parliament, like let's say the Lumwezi independent member of parliament, Munir Zulu. He's closely associated to the Patriotic Front. So granted, looking at the number of independent MPs that we have, right? If we had to like tilt the scale, do you think that would add to the numbers of UPND or to the numbers of the Patriotic Front if a bill was to be voted for or against? Looking at the current situation, because I want us to decipher our independent members of parliament, and what do you think about them, and which side do they tilt towards between UPND and PF?
Good evening, Mona, and good evening, fellow panelists, and a very warm good evening to Zambia. I think they would tilt towards the opposition Patriotic Front, and I say so because I'm looking at their history and their genesis, because these are Patriotic Front members, and this is something we can't ignore or dispute, because they are PF. Okay.
Right. Can you give me an example?
Them standing as
one example of Munir, or which other people are you talking about? Just so we can get the concept.
Okay, I'll give another example. The Petauke member of parliament, JJ.
JJ, and we also have Binwa Mpundu, OPF.
Yes, OPF. Yeah, and so these are youths that have that were disgruntled because they were not adopted on the PF ticket, and they decided to go independent. Okay, and they are not vested in the policies of UPND. They do not know the UPND manifesto. They do not understand it, and so they have no knowledge of the UPND manifesto, and their way of doing things has been pro PF. Okay, whereas UPND has been doing things differently. UPND, okay. UPND, from the time they were in opposition, stood with the people of Zambia. I will comment on the very example you gave on Bill 10. Okay, from the onset, UPND rejected that bill because it was pro-government, or pro the government or the party in power. Okay, it had quoted bad bills and elements by trying to hoodwink the citizens by saying, no, there'll be inclusiveness, the youth, the women, and whatnot. But when you look at the adoptions, still, they did not have those people adopted as Bill 10 was being advertised. On top of that, even before the elections, the Constitution still allowed the Patriotic Front to include all these different groupings they were advocating for, but they still didn't. So it's not like Bill 10 was going to solve this puzzle on inclusiveness. The current Constitution already allows that. Okay, it doesn't bar youths from contesting. It doesn't bar the differently able to contest. There are requirements for one to stand, and as long as you qualify, whether you're a youth that is below the age of 35, or you are differently abled, or you're a woman, there are qualifications. Okay, and yeah, the UPND stood with the people of Zambia, and I think that is why they won this year's election, because the PF became arrogant and forgot about the people, because they thought about themselves. It was all about enriching oneself. It's like they concentrated more on being celebrities in the country. It was more about fame. It was more about who was more successful. It was more about who is building this and that, who is driving whatnot, who is buying more beer over the weekend for the patrons and the supporters around. And it was all about fame. Okay, they forgot their duty to the citizens, and that is where UPND was very critical, and they were focused, because for them it was representing the people of Zambia and their interests, not the interests of UPND. And so these MPs who are independent member of parliament, I think they would tilt towards the Patriotic Front, because they would not they would not find comfort, or they would not fit in UPND, because UPND thinks differently. If you look at the caliber of members of UPND, they are all of a different tree compared to those in PF. Okay, a very good example is how the whole Bill 10 issue was handled. Okay, and yeah, I think on where they would tilt, I think they would tilt towards the Patriotic Front, because that's a more friendly environment for them. Whereas UPND, you have a lot expected of you. You have a president that is result oriented. Okay. Yeah, I think on that's my response.
All right. Okay. So I assume you and I are like we're similar in terms of our age and how old we were when these things were happening. Like, let's say, for example, when by the time the Patriotic Front won the MMD and just beat the MMD, we were old enough to understand what's going on, but we just didn't look at the technical aspects. So I just wanted to find out your opinion. Why do you think the MMD lost grip of relevance in parliament? Because I'm looking at the number of the number of MPs that represent a political party. And how did the MMD get to lose grip of them being able to provide checks and balances, being able to vote for bills and motions? Do you have any idea? And do you see the Patriotic Front having the same trajectory?
Yes, I see the Patriotic Front having the same trajectory. And for the MMD, they were unfortunate because in 2001, they faced one big giant, okay, contesting for the presidency, under the late president of the UPND, Mr. Anderson Mazoka. And so you have a big opposition political party that was birthed, and it got some MPs, okay? And then 2006, you have the Patriotic Front party that also came with a bang, okay? And so MMD faced these two giant opposition political parties, and hence their irrelevance when it came to parliament, because the opposition now had more seats combined, and which subsequently saw the oblivion of the MMD in parliament. And with the PF currently, they are a bit fortunate because they were only facing one big opposition political party. Okay, it was a two-horse race, whereas the previous years from 2006 to 2006, it was a three-horse race at the time. But this time around, it was two, and UPND emerged victorious. PF, their seats reduced in parliament, and they seem to continue to reduce. Okay, with the nullifications that have rocked the past few days.
Yes, but they can still
So
bounce back after
we
the
see them losing more seats because now you have a lot of injustices that took place during the election. Okay, during and prior to the election, you have a lot of injustices, malpractices, illegalities, criminalities that took place all in the name of elections, all in the name of belonging to the ruling party, all in the name of using government machinery. And we saw a lot of opposition members being arrested, okay? Contesting opposition members being arrested, contesting MPs, councillors. We saw people being arrested on flimsy charges, okay? We saw ECZ favoring the ruling Patriotic Front. A good example I'll give is the results, the grade 12 qualification of Joe Malanji. And if the court can give such a ruling, then one begs to ask the question, how on earth did he qualify, or did he manage to file in his nominations and contest the election? Okay, so those all those are issues. We have the NATO forces that rocked and terrorized Kabushi. Okay, and citizens are watching. Citizens are being affected. Citizens are being terrorized. They were not choosing whether you're PF or you're UPND. Their force was a stamp on the land. Okay, we can also look at the example of Mpulungu. There was so much violence there. There was a similar group or grouping in these land cruisers that were provided by the Patriotic Front. Land cruisers that would have PF branded cadres going around terrorizing people, removing posters of other political parties. And eventually the people stood up to them. The people stood up to them and said enough is enough. And they dealt with those terrorists. Okay, those anarchists. And it's all these things that eventually sent out the PF, okay, showed them the exit door. The malpractices during elections. We saw them distributing money, things that they were not doing in the last 5 years from the 2016 elections. They were not distributing money to the youth. They were not providing empowerment programs to the youth. And then 2-3 months before elections, you have all these things being given. You have a 30 million kwacha being given to the musicians, to which also there were very few. Among them, you have social media celebrities who don't really do anything at the end of the day to benefit the country. Okay, but those benefited from those empowerments at the expense of the unemployed, educated Zambian youth, at the expense of the Zambian youth who does not have the opportunities because they've not been to school, but they've got a trade. Okay, they've got some experience in some trade, to which they only need a bit of capital, a bit of organization, and they can be empowered. Okay, and the more citizens we have empowered, the more citizens we have generating a revenue here or there, the more ZRA will also get to collect. But all these things contribute to the nullifications that are taking place, and it will be interesting to see the results of these by-elections should the Concord indeed disqualify these candidates who appeal and we hold elections. It will be interesting to see the outcome of these elections.
Yes, and by the way, you talked about the Concord disqualifying the people who. Do we know what the law says? Let's say, for example, Bowman Lusambo has been his elections has been nullified. Can he still stand to run? for the Kabushi Seat. What does the law precisely say about that?
I wish I could quote it, but my understanding of what I've read so far from the law is that once he is disqualified by the Concord, he does not qualify to stand again for the same seat.
Right. What criteria do they use to disqualify a candidate? Any idea? Anybody from the panel can chime in and help us if you know this particular subject very well. So feel free to unmute yourself. Then you can, give us your tungwe. So my
but I
question
think
is,
the ruling from
no, go on, Tiki.
I think the ruling from the court. I think the ruling from the court is what the Concord uses at the end of the day, because they are the final authority. So it's them to decide whether the Concord, the High Court was correct or the High Court was not correct, based on the same information that will be presented to them, because that's the same information being presented to the High Court. So based on the evidence provided, I think the Concord will make a decision based on that, on the information that was presented to court, because that is the case that is that was presented. And unless they request for new evidence, I'm not a legal expert, but I think it's the same, since it's an appeal. So the same substances or evidence presented in the High Court and the ruling are still what the Concord are going to deal with, and it's in their power to decide whether or not the High Court was right in that decision.
All right. Thanks a lot, Tiki. So let me just ask Moses one more last question concerning the Patriotic Front, Bowman Lusambo, and all these political related questions, and then we're going to discuss the C5 incident that happened where the wrong person was shot. And I just want to get your opinions, and then we're going to close. Today we need to close early because you people are very busy. So, but Moses, what I want to find out is, do you think the UPND not allowing defections is also helping the Patriotic Front become stronger? Because one of the things that really made the MMD lose a lot of power and the grip of power is due to the fact that there were massive defections. And this is one of the reasons why we saw people such as Raphael Nakachinda and a lot of prominent MMD, they jumped ship from the MMD sinking ship to the Patriotic Front. But this time around, right, the UPND is not really tolerating any defections. So this only leaves one option for people who want to remain relevant. They just continue sticking and, supporting the Patriotic Front. So this thereby makes the Patriotic Front slightly stronger, and it can't really have the same fate that the MMD had, because we had the prominent people jumping from MMD to PF, thereby leaving MMD very weak. But this time around, right, all the big boys from the PF are still sticking with the Patriotic Front. So, Moses, do you think UPND not allowing any defections is making the Patriotic Front stronger? And what do you think about the UPND not really allowing any defections?
Yes, good evening, panelists. Good evening, Mona.
Good evening.
Thank you for allowing me or according me this opportunity to talk. Your question, I think to my side, I may answer in two ways. Previously, MMD into PF, allowing MMD members to join PF, they were different from my opinion. The way MMD was conducting themselves as party, and the way PF has been conducting themselves compared to MMD, there is a big difference. So, as to me, allowing them, most of PF are not people who love and who respect Zambians will, for the first thing which I can say. Because when we allow these people, they will come and damage the idea of UPND, members, UPND in the entire Zambia to do something. They will pretend to be like when they join UPND, but whilst maybe wearing the same regalia and other things, try to find a weakest point in the UPND members to destroy or to tarnish the name of the UPND itself. This is what maybe the party is looking upon it. We need to think wise. But there are also some good members in the same PF. Because of just those people, criminality who have got mind like this guy, the one I'm watching on that corner here, Bowman Lusambo, Bowman Sikazwe, like Kuria, where my brothers just mentioned, is it Ukubembo what in which Sikazwe? Kwadina kwena violence, a big violence. These people were acting like they are not leaders. They were geared to win, to do, or to give whatever they can do for them to retain and to have the power in their hand. So this has made even those genuine PF members who mean well, who can even contribute maybe to the UPND, we are seeing them as if they are also criminals. So allowing these members to join, I think, to my side, is not a good idea unless if UPND is going to allow this and maybe distance them, just like maybe alliance in that way, so that we continue, or the UPND continues to observe them until they are changed, maybe after a year, after 2022. That is going to help us. But if we do just allow them now, like people like Vena Karimanshi, one America, whatever they were used to call themselves, no, to me, that I can't accept, because those people were very evil and they have damaged the party itself, PF, and even Zambia to the diaspora because of their behavior. Yes, we are in this country and politics is not ending today. Politics will continue. There are even some other parties like Avena Mumembe, Fred Mumembe and others. Those are parties are coming. But what are we teaching Zambians, even young ones? It is like giving them fear not to join politics. So we need to desist from this act and do the right thing. On that matter, we will see that at least smart politics can start occurring in this country. Through that, we will have a better Zambia with strong leaders who have got a vision and love for this country. Not people like abakwebati bare yumfu afye nangu bare imona kwati bena evenga saving afye mu constituency bari takuri abantu bambi abenga saving muri area constituency bari. No, this is not good. This I rest my case.
All right. Okay. So let's also bring in Brother Oscar from Italy. So, Brother Oscar, before we move to the C5 topic and all my panelists, because that's our next topic of discussion, I just want to find out from Brother Oscar or even the remaining panelists, do you think there is, or rather there is likely to be a power struggle? Because at this particular moment, right, we are seeing some sort of friction with regards to how the MDC spokesperson is, conducting himself, and there seems to be some incoming friction or something which is going to be a problem in the future, whereby the alliance of feels neglected, and maybe they might want to have like a lot of different roles to play. Do you think there's going to be some friction in the UPND alliance? Brother Oscar, you can take that. Unmute yourself. All right. Okay. Having some issues. So, gentlemen, anybody can take that. Can pick that question. If you feel like going for it, you can go for it. So, who wants to go for it? Yeah, Moses.
Yes, according to that question, I see friction will come out because when they were signing that alliance, like President Akafumba, whatever, has been appointed for the certain position in UPND, and I saw whether it is true. Yesterday news that he has resigned. Resigning from that position maybe has just paved way for other people to take charge because he has been appointed for that position, for him to concentrate and work in accordance with the what can I say, the 10 plans or whatever manifesto of the UPND, which is good to this side. Now to the party, I don't know what is he said to the party for him to have resigned. Better if he has lived that place for the giving chance, I mean, for the members of the NDC, somebody who is going to take it and have the same agreement or morals of continuity to be alliance with the UPND, it will be good. And maybe, may I say, it will bring sanity, also respect, and some other thing which will improve, will show even leadership to other people from this country, Zambia, Africa, and diaspora. But that friction might come maybe from the other territory, which I can say maybe PF members trying to say, imomwalipanga alliance, nomba namumona president wenu apa, naba mpera nechifulo, nata resign, nomba finshi mule chitapa. So imwe bonse limbi, mwara puafi mkula midonsa wanu, kuya mu UPND. So party yenu yarao naika. And we have seen it Shimba Kambwiri and Akafumbato. There were some langos previously, but Akafumba, President Akafumba, who has just resigned, maintained and had that zeal to hold that political party strong until today. So I don't just know the person who's going to take that position and how he's going to lead that party, for that party to have strengthened and looking for it maybe in the future. I think that is my...
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. So now let's conclude this broadcast. I just want to hear your opinions with regards to the C5 and the recent situation that we saw. So what do you think about that? Who would go for that one? Anybody, feel free to go for it. So C5 situation where they ended up shooting the wrong person. We saw Oscar Chavula come up with a suggestion saying they need to be abolished. Do you think we need to abolish the C5? Anybody to answer that question, feel free. Unmute your mic and go for it. Yeah, Brother Pombo, go on.
Yeah, sorry, good evening. I think something went wrong with the network. I think I was off the network. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, the viewers.
Good evening.
The C5, Mr. Moon, I think you intend what happened in the shooting of a wrong person, isn't it?
Right.
Hello?
Right. Yes.
Hello?
Yes. Can you not hear me?
Hello?
Hello. Well, can the rest of the
The network
panelists hear
seems
me?
to have
We
some...
can
I
get
don't
you,
know whether
brother
it's my
Oscar.
line or it's somewhere
We
there.
are
Hello?
getting you,
We are getting you clearly.
Mr. Bowman.
All right. Okay.
Hello? I don't know whether you can hear me.
We can.
Hear you, brother Mpombo.
Hello?
Yes. We can.
Getting
All right. Okay. We need to bring him back. So, anybody else to pick it up from Brother Oscar? C5 situation. Do you think they need to be abolished? Tiki, go for it. Then we're going to have Brother Jason. So, Tiki.
Yeah. I do not think they need to be abolished because we need a division of the police service that will counter criminals, okay, and criminals, armed robbers and criminals at that level, okay, criminals that we do not catch in our neighborhoods stealing our shoes outside the yard or clothes that you left on the line. But these are people that can cause injury when they mean to come and steal from your home or get whatever valuables you have. So I do not think government needs to abolish C5, but I would prefer the Ministry of Home Affairs manages this team in a more citizen friendly, because even when they're just moving in Cairo Road, whether they're on operation or not, oftentimes we've seen how they terrorize the innocent motorists. I remember once I was heading to my lectures when I was still in college, and I was with Dad, okay, and we were at Cafe Roundabout where it's jam-packed, and here are these guys trying to pave way for themselves, and they're pointing at those AK-47s at innocent people simply because they want you to move, okay. And the fact that, one, the vehicles they drive are not registered, they're not labeled, they're not in uniform, so you can't really distinguish between them and the armed robbers themselves. So I think there's something that needs to be done about that aspect, a plea to the Home Affairs Minister. And the other thing is, if these operations need to be done in secret, if they do not brand themselves for the purpose of not alerting the criminal in the vicinity, then better they do the operations without the knowledge of the citizens. Okay, we do not need to know that C5 is in the neighborhood. We do not need to know that there is something about to go down. They need to do their operations more professionally. And you see, these are things that you do not need rocket science to plan certain things. Okay, and so they need to manage that department in a more professional manner. If it means taking people abroad for special training, let the government do so. Otherwise, we do not want the situation that happened to repeat itself, where you have people targeting and causing injury to an innocent person who is in the vehicle with his pregnant wife. Okay? So how on earth do people have such analysis on their perpetrators if they're going to catch the wrong person? It means they do not have enough information about the people they're looking for. And it's a very dangerous thing, because none of us will be safe. So a plea to the Minister of Home Affairs is, let this team be managed. If anything, take this team for training. Okay? Take this team for technical training, and let them come back and exercise the professionalism that will not affect the innocent bystander. But let these operations be done, one, they should be done in secret, because even the locations where most of these missions take place, or where they corner the perpetrators, usually it's in crowded places. Okay, I think there's need for technical planning and training for these guys, so that some of these things do not even need to be out there getting the attention of the whole public, knowing that, no, there's this going on, no, there's this and that going on, because at the end of the day, we'll have a lot of stray bullets hitting innocent people. Okay, I think there's need for more investigation on the people they're looking for, the criminals they're looking for, and we need to see the professionalism to avoid loss of life of the innocent bystander.
Definitely. Thank you, Tiki. So we pass it over to Brother Jason, then Mr. Mutonga is going to be here. So, Brother Jason.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brother Muna. I think it's a wrong idea calling for the abolition of the C5 guys. You know, the C5, they are a division in police service actually, who are trained to corner these armed robbers, the most dangerous criminals. So now there are a lot of anomalies actually, however, which happen in this department, of which oftentimes we've been hearing. This is not the first time actually it has happened, whereby an innocent individual is been injured in the course of trying to pursue the criminals. I think I'm sure we've been watching actually movies, and we learn a lot of things, the way they handle these situations. You know, first of all, it starts by there should be police officers, those police officers who man actually the towns during the day, because sometimes these situations, they just happen like abruptly, unplanned. Maybe armed robbers just appears like that, the way it happened in what's this trade area in Lusaka, Kamwala. So that's the way it happened. So most of the times it is unplanned. So it is like the police, those police force we see, like the security guys who just patrol police, they call for a backup for these guys to come. Now the way they come, you know, it is somehow unprofessional, because first of all, they need to have information, they need to have directives, they need to have directions, so that even as they are coming on the scene, they should know the kind of the people that they are going to handle, which type of vehicle are they into. They should have all those informations, because if they don't have proper information, actually, that's why most times there are incidences whereby an innocent individual is being injured, or because they don't take time to gather the information, because even if the criminals are using an unregistered vehicle, those people actually got for a backup. They have to give them the clear definitions of the type of a car they are in, the color of a car, so that even as they come, they should know the type of vehicle that they are going to target. They should know the type of the people they are going to target. Now, if they just come, they go for a backup, they just come without carrying proper information, then we continue seeing these acts actually being happening. Now, like Tiki mentioned, what is needed is just training. They just have to intensify the training. They just have to be sensitized. You know, they are very brutal. That's why, and again, we are getting back to the members of the public, because you know, most of the things that happens, people, they are not sensitized. Most people, Brother Muna, they don't understand what they should do when they hear a police siren going up. They don't understand. Because can you move, because they are not sensitized. Most people, ambulance, you discover that even some motorists, they don't know how to respond to that. That's why we are going to find that there is a lot of inefficiency in the way these guys, they are going to deliver their services, because members of the public, one, they are not sensitized properly of how they should respond when they hear such incidences happen. They are not trained. They are not alert. And again, our guys are like, I'm too excited. You know, That's why if you've been witnessing, they always aim, they always aim to kill. They don't even give chance to say, oh, we are going to we are going to take you down. There is nothing like that. So that's why the point that Tiki mentioned, what is needed is proper training to be given to these guys. And the other thing, members of the public actually, they should be educated on that, how they should respond when such issues happens. I think I submit, other panelists can come in.
Yes, let's pass it over to Mr. Mtonga. Welcome back after your long break. We can't hear you. Yeah.
Sorry. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Sorry for my absence, like he says, long break. So anyway, I concur with my friends my previous speakers. It is a matter of training. And the most important is, I think I don't know, Zambia, you've lost the police on the beat, just like police walking around, in twos around the areas. These days, I don't see much of those, or just driving around. The presence of the police would enable, even the thieves to be afraid to go and attack the area, or, but it's also the way the unprofessional those guys come to the scene. It's the same way they come like machos to come and show off, that they are these guys, C5, whatever guys are called. So those are things like my brother said, brother Tiki says, it's educational training. They need to have training. You can't just come in a crowd and start shooting. You've got to know who your target is. You've got to know what you are looking for. And if that guy is not armed, why would you be shooting him? You must ascertain first and check that this guy is not armed. Therefore, it's not right for them to just fire. You can fire in the air and to warn him. Then the guy will be scared. He'll stop definitely if he hasn't got any gun. But if he has, then that's when you got to assess. All that assessment has to be done before they call them in. So they must know, this guy, they've got this, they've got guns, they've got this. Then they must learn to isolate them to a place where there's no crowd, a crowd of people, so they cannot end up, killing innocent people. So that's the training they need to be, not just coming there, making noise all over and, showing off. No, those guys are supposed to be special, type of force. So they must be professional in their deeds. In fact, they shouldn't be seen, careless, because they need to be in a hidden state, coming there like they are not part of it.
Yes. Joseph here says that it was alleged that the car that was used in the robbery was the one that was, the victim was in. So maybe if I can play the devil's advocate, maybe that's where the mix-up came in. But just like Brother Jason said, they always aim to kill, most of the time. So I don't know, maybe that was the mix-up. So I just wanted to bring out the point that Joseph Mulenga gave us.
All right. So if they aim to kill, they must be certain. They must know what their target is. That's what I'm saying. You can't just say, okay, because the guy has got the same car that, and let's try and shoot. It could be, did they have all details of the car, the plate number, the color, and all that? Those details should be given to them. And they should try by all means to move that target out of the cloud of people so that they can be able to target it's not even good to just shoot if you haven't been shot at, or these guys are just let there be a training that you can't just shoot to kill, because these are human beings. Nowadays there's even human rights, they'll come in and say the police, even in this country now, whenever police shoot, they end up in court because they cannot be shooting a civilian if you haven't verified that they have arms, they shot at them, and they can't shoot to kill. You shoot to injure the guy so that you can disarm them, not to shoot to kill. So those are the things which they should be looking for. Now that we are becoming a global village, they should be looking at that, because they'll end up, blaming the government that you have a policy of killing even innocent people. So training is important, definitely, and they should act professionally. They shouldn't be anywhere. And the presence of policemen, driving around the area, or walking around like we used to have police. I don't know nowadays. Do we have police walking about in town or in the compounds? No, I don't think so. So this is what the thieves have taken advantage. They say, oh, there's no police presence, there's nothing else, so they have the right, they have all the the advantage, and they take that as an advantage to them. So police, what are all the police doing? Sitting in the office, writing papers, dockets, and doing all this? Let them get out there. They only go out on cars when they use traffic police trying to get money those days. Now that there's no corruption, why can't they get out on the beach and start checking out, get the presence who just scare the thieves? Even petty thieves won't be able to steal, just find people stealing anyhow, find clothes on the line, they steal them. Those are the things which the presence of the policemen will hinder, will prevent, will give security. That's their visibility, is security. Bring back the fear of the policemen in the community. Because when you hear, policemen were even used as a lullaby or stopping the child misbehaving. You say, oh, I'll call the police. But nowadays, I don't think you can say that. The kids are like, oh, so what's a police? They don't even know maybe what a police is, or the young people. What is a police? Oh, police, yeah, we've heard of police, but do we have to fear them? So it's not fear, but let them put the security in the community back like we used to have. Police walking there, you respect them, you give them, all the courtesy, and, they'll talk to the community, be friend with the community, so that the community feels confident to tell them, to give them information, so that they can deal with the issues that they need to be dealing with. Because if you are not close to the community ending up to alienate itself away from the police, and therefore the police becomes like your enemies. The need to develop that there should be a community police who can begin to bring the community together to be friend with the police, so that the police can have the confidence of going in the community and give security to that community, to the country. So this is what I think, like my brother says, is training. The people should be trained, they should be informed. The police, so-called C5 or commandos, they should not come there to come and show off their guns and big guns and all that. No, it's foolishness. If you are wearing non-uniform, you're supposed to be a CID kind of secret police. So you shouldn't come and gun blazing. You should come out quietly and assess the situation, and then begin to isolate the target. Because you can't just come out, and start boo, boo, boo. Have you seen who is it that you're looking for? First, you scare the people, and people start running around. Now, even the target start running within the people. And therefore, you miss your target. You end up shooting wrong people. That's what training should be. As professionals, they need to get down to nitty-gritty of being trained as professional, acting professionally. So I rest my case.
All right. Okay. So let's pass it over to Brother Emmanuel. I think he's somewhere there in the background. I don't know whether you're hearing us. So let's just conclude. Let's give everybody an opportunity to conclude. So in 90 seconds, gentlemen, 90 seconds, maximum 2 minutes, you can talk about anything that you feel like talking about with regards to even our previous topics, because I believe a lot of you didn't get to talk about what you wanted to talk about. So in your conclusive remarks, in your concluding remarks, kindly conclude in 2 minutes, talk about whatever you feel like talking, and then we close the show. We need to close the show. So please, 2 minutes or less. I need to unmute you. Yes. Okay, go on.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. This evening that we have, I've come a bit late. Talking about the C5, I think it was unfortunate that they ended up targeting a wrong person. I read somewhere where some people have started calling for removal of the C5. I think that is unfortunate. We don't just rush into such action. We need C5 in our country because it has been performing very, very, very well. I still remember in the late 80s, late 90s. You know, I agree with the others who are lobbying for these police officers, the C5, to be trained, so that they have a lot of tactics how they should go about an operation, which should at all costs avoid targeting innocent people, because these criminals, one of their tricks is to be found to go into crowded places, so that they get they are missed. Then the other thing is, I think the killing, in my own understanding, we are coming from this regime which had planted a very bad seed in the police, where they were just whatever situation is just killing. To me, it's PF also has contributed to this. We used to have C5 all along. I remember when they go out for operations, they would use, like those days in the Kaunda regime, they would use a wreck, a finished vehicle, like a Fiat. We used to have Fiat vehicles. That's the one they are driving, so that they are not, for security reasons and for disguising themselves. They could do the work accordingly. We used to hear the Patels of this world and the others who used to work in those, operations. Things were going on very well. Now, this time around, try to look at a gap, the past 10 years. Is there anyone who is able to give an account of C5 operating during the PF regime? I don't think if there was that operation, because these guys, they were toothless. These guys, they had no powers. Powers were given to cadres. And if they are forced to do the work, they were given instructions to kill. So it could have been one of the contributing factors that they still have that seed in them of killing anyhow. Well, else we need to, we are appreciating their operations, and maybe we want them to be trained. These guys, they are trained. It's only that there's this seed from the PF, the previous regime, which is still in them. We need just to talk about it, and also appeal to the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security to ensure that they are doing the right thing. they have enough skills how to target, how to target the victim, or the criminal, other than the innocent people. I submit.
Thank you. Who's going to pick it up next? Concluding remarks, 90 seconds. We wind up, we close. Moses, go for it. 90 seconds.
Aro, I think this C5, they have got the thing they follow up. They get the whole details, even the identity of the person, like a portrait, to know which person are they following up. But for this shooting, I concur with my brother of just from the panel there. It is the kind of the behavior from these guys, the former government or PF in particular, that has contributed to this also. Now, to that person who had fired that gun, shooting an innocent, that one need to be demoted so that he restart afresh. Perhaps in future he can do well. We cannot let him, or even if the head department of the police are hearing us, let them look upon this person and give him a little punishment so that he can improve. Training is needed, yes. And I know for them to go and do that work, they are trained, but they have messed up. They cannot kill an innocent person like that. Better if they are doubting, they can shoot a leg, arm, whatever, so that they get that person and they get the right information, whether he's the one or not. This is what they should do. So we don't support shooting innocent, but their professional work should be, in fact, it's the kind of the work us Zambians are looking for, professional, not cadreism. Because if they continue doing this, we will think that, yeah, it's the same maybe cartel or unlearned people whom PF maybe by then employed in a police service. These are the same people who is doing this. Really, for sure, I agree with my panelists who have just from saying something there. It has never happened before in the period of 10 years last time. Previous of 10 years, this PF was a line, because we used to EIS previously okukuliba C5 and they were doing very well, but because bachibapoka maka bapera maka bakada nabena bachikarafi tapalifu batiratita. Even some of the police, senior police officers, they were just staying kutu warushira pofe nobumi, kutu warushira pofe na ngunchito, bambi batira bombera fenchito ni file fya kwebati. At least they heard something pakwebati basunge ko family. But the behavior they were using wasn't good. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Have a good night, Moses. We're concluding here. So who's up next? Brother Jason, give us your concluding remarks. Anything that you want to talk about, 90 seconds.
I think my concluding remarks will start by analyzing what has just befallen Bowman Lusambo. You know, be a lesson enough even to the upcoming politicians that, you know, we don't go in politics with the other hidden agenda and too much excitement. I think Bowman Lusambo, you know, exposed himself too much and he was overexcited. And again, Bowman Lusambo, they say that actually knowledge is power. But for Bowman Lusambo, you know, it's like he had the wrong information about how politics must be done. So that's what has thrown him into these confusions, because actually he forgot that Politics, they are just once, and they just come in a lifetime and they pass. And I think politicians should know that politics, they are not something actually you can use to make wealthy. No, politics are there in order to serve people. Because if you go with that type of thinking into politics, you make a lot of mistakes, and of which they are going to cost you in the end. Secondly, I just want to support the issue of UPND not supporting defections. You know, this is actually what has diluted a lot of democracy in Zambia. We saw what happened between MMD and PF. A lot of defections happened, and that even compromised democracy. You know, in the first place, if you really want to serve the people, again, we are getting back to serving of the people. Why should you rush in joining the sitting government if you are already an MP? What are your intentions in the first place? So UPND, we are saying thumbs up. You have actually served Zambian, because these people actually, those who are in the independent, those who are with who are PF, they should serve people based on those political parties actually where they were elected, where they rose. They don't have to start pursuing for defection to say, let's go to UPND. And again, we are cautioning UPND actually, because sometimes what encourages defection is because maybe some constituents and some member of parliament, they feel as long as if I'm not part of the ruling government, the ruling party, I'm not going to access funds for this and that project. That I'm sure they should lift bars as UPND, because UPND actually has come on board in order to show morality of doing politics in Zambia. So they should give a platform for those opposition political parties actually to do whatever that they do. Let them be supportive. Let them give resources, because if they are going to neglect them, actually they will start thinking like until we have the ruling party, that's when we are going to develop our constituencies. The government has to be fair, because they should know that we, the UPND, actually for now, we are the fathers of this house. It's like Brother Muna, you marry somebody who already got children. You don't have to look at those children that you are going to find Munga and Damulia to say, because these are not my biological children. Because if you begin doing that, actually it is going to incite other issues which you are not going to prevent as a father. Then in conclusion, I just want to say that, you know, most Zambians actually, they look at C5 as people who are cruel, as people who are so brutal. These people, they are very relevant in as much as security is concerned. But all we are calling for is, you guys get the relevant training, get the relevant skills, get the relevant drills, so that when you take operations, let not innocent people be victims. Let not innocent people be victims. For the members of the public, these people actually, they are the ones who track down those critical criminals. Kwali baba kabwala la fiaba shupa. Aba kweba tfipondo. So if you campaign to say, let us scrape out C5, it is not going to help us. Actually, it is going to compromise on the internal security, on the national security in our communities, in our towns. And like brother Hughes was saying, Brother Mtonga, let there be a presence of police officers, because sometimes, you know, psychologically, if a criminal sees a police officer, you know, they get scared, and actually they even abort their operations, because they see guys, this is not a safe place. Now the reason is because this area is so sensitive. Let's allow the presence of the police officers. what we see in Zambia, which happens now, the only people who have security, shops aya bakapokola, nga tabatitire aya bakapola mwalasanga at a certain area, takupitirana ba police. Papa market, there must be police presence. Pama station, there must be police presence. In schools, kuma areas schools, there must be a police presence so that at least they beef up the security of a country. Because of lack of security, vices escalate. Thank you so much, Brother Muna, for this program. I hope to see you tomorrow. I don't know if you are going to
Yes,
be live.
we'll be back tomorrow, 20 hours or 20:30. Sometimes we're not gonna have 30 minutes or 15 minutes, but we're always Monday to Friday. I always make sure we're online. All right, have a good night, Brother Jason.
Good night, Tiki. Good to see you.
All right, okay, take care. So, Tiki, give us your concluding remarks. Anything that you want to, tackle is free flow right now. Yeah, you can go.
All right, thank you, Brother Mona. Yeah, I think I'd like to commend the UPND party as a party for not accepting the unnecessary defections, because prior to the elections, I think there was a loud cry from the citizens of Zambia requesting the UPND not to accept anybody coming from the PF, the big fish coming from the PF, that were going to defect because the wind of change was visible for all to see except the PF leaders. And it's good UPND listened to the people, and they have continued to do so, because at the end of the day, the people of Zambia didn't deny Patriotic Front as a party, but the individuals that are in there with their questionable activities when they were in power. So it's a good thing that UPND has listened to the people of Zambia by not allowing these people to come and join and jump ship, because it would have then proven that for you to be forgiven of your sins, of your activities, of your criminal activities, all you do is side with the ruling party, and the rest is history. But it's not the case, because the people of Zambia have mandated the UPND government of the fight against corruption, retrieval of stolen money or resources from the people of Zambia by the Patriotic Front leaders, and these are things that the people of Zambia want to see. So if they see these PF people jumping ship and joining UPND, it will not be a good thing for the UPND publicly, because at the end of the day, these are the voters that are speaking, and these are the things they expect from the UPND government. And it's a good thing the UPND government is listening, and they must continue to do so, because that is what we, the citizens and the voters, want from our leaders, the leaders we put in power. We want them to be there for us, to be listening, to be open to us, to be available for us. Okay, because it's a people-driven leadership or democracy. And yeah, I think on C5, I think we've all spoken the same mind. It's a very critical part of the police force, which should be maintained, but it needs to be strengthened with more knowledge on tactics, more knowledge on how they handle their operations professionally. I think that is the outcry from most of us. Disbanding them is room for chaos, and is just opening the Pandora box for these criminals who've been hiding to actually have a field day. But I think our humble request to the Minister of Home Affairs and the UPND government is, if these people, this particular department, can be empowered in terms of the knowledge they need to acquire in carrying out their work professionally. Yes.
Thank
I think
you.
those
Thank
would
you
be
very
my
much.
last
Yes,
words for this evening.
Good night, Tiki. See you tomorrow, 20 hours. If we're late, we're only late by about 15 to about 30 minutes. But every day, every weekday, Monday to Friday, 20 hours Zambian time, we are always live. But this time around, we're trying to minimize the episodes to have like 1 hour, 30 minutes maximum. Because it's really beginning to stress me out.
Oh, no, thank you. Oh,
All right.
No,
Okay.
thank you so much, Brother Muna. Thank you, and good night to everybody. Good night, Uncle Oscar, Uncle Matthew, and Uncle Emmanuel.
All right. Okay. All right. So who's up next, gentlemen? 90 seconds, please.
I am next. I'm probably be the last.
All right. Okay.
I'll conclude anyway. In my conclusion, it's like what I said on C5. Basically, the usual, which I think has just concluded. We need professional training. Give them tactics in how to approach the scene of a crime. And this is a police thing. They should be able to just refine it, not just coming in to show off. It's like I remember I was in Zambia and I was driving, Ratsa. I happened to just hold my phone on the side. They literally made the scene out of everything. Like, stopped every vehicle and, stopped right in the middle of the road and, blocked everybody and thinking, stop. I said, I looked at what is it? I was so shocked, So it's been a long time. No, let's go back. The guy jumps in the vehicle. You turn around. I said, no, I'm not turning. I've got an appointment right now. I've got to go to my appointment before you take me to where you want me to go. So it was, there's no need for all that, kerfuffle going about. All he needed was to say, okay, you charge, come and see us at the office. I would have gone and reported and done, you see. But they made a scene. So that's the same thing with the C5 guys. They come out to come and show off that they are the main men at the scene. They're the people to, the macho guys, the commanders who can deal with the issue. But they bring confusion. In the case of trying to solve the problem, they bring a confusion now, ending up to, people are scampering, and what will the thief do? He will join the group and, hide in the group and run away. So it is very, very important that they come act in incognito and not coming to show off. They're supposed to be secret guys. They should be secret so that they are not seen by the crooks and robbers. So like I said, also the police presence is the most important thing. If we have police presence in the compound, in the areas like we used to have in the Kaunda era, that should be brought back. So the police, two police in pairs walking about and, talking to the community, being friendly to the community. And that means the information will be displayed to them and they'll be able to know what is happening within the community. They'll even know who are the crooks, because people will tell them, these are the crooks, the ones who... So this is what we need in Zambia to bring back cops on the beat. They should be walking in the streets and being community friendly and make sure that these crimes should not occur, because once the presence of the police is there, the crime goes down. It is that simple to solve our problem of crime. So it is, I would urge the Minister of Home Affairs to look into this and let the police presence be in the streets. Because what are the police doing? I don't see any. I've never seen police moving about nowadays in Zambia. Maybe because cadres took over the time that I came in. But now that we've got a new dawn government, let's have the police on the beat and cause, security. Give security to the people. It gives you naturally, you feel safe and be able, when you see a police, and that's, it helps. And that's what I think I would encourage the minister to do. The other thing, these defects you are talking about, defecting from party, it's pathetic. Why would you have, because these people defecting from, we need opposition. We need opposition, proper opposition in the, in the government, so that it's bringing checks and balances on the ruling party. Because if everybody defects to UPND, What are, what's we gonna have another one party stay, the counter era. We are in a democratic way, so let's have the parties that shouldn't be defecting, destroying the opposition, which we're supposed to have. Let them stay in their parties and continue, if they are in the parliament, continue fighting for their people, because that's why they were voted to be in the parliament. And talking about my friend losing his seat, it is unfortunate that he's lost his seat, but it was coming anyway. Bowman, it seems like the handwriting was on the wall, so it needed to just he came in, the way he came in probably is the way he's left, because he just maybe came in with forceful, used the cadres and all these things, intimidation, and that's why maybe he's even got himself into this trouble. So politicians should be checking themselves before they come into politics, making sure their integrity is clean, and they are there to save and save the Zambian people. And not coming with motives or coming with pomposity, feeling like they are the only one who can can run the government. So to me, I think let the law is taking its course. So it's a good thing that PF, they are getting cleaned up. And I thank God there is a letter to the audit general, which has just been sent to look at lifestyle audit of the former ministers and officials. That is one of the things which needed to be done as early as possible. But it's never too late. We're still in the 21st of the 21st year. So we need that audit to be done definitely. I'm glad Biswell Mutale, who is a PF member, he has literally written a good letter to clear PF. He wants to clear PF that it's a genuine party, and he needs, he's written a very good letter. So hopefully the Auditor General will be able to work on that and clarify and do the audit of the lifestyle before and after PF ruling. So I think I rest my case on that.
All right. Have a great night. We'll be back tomorrow, 20 hours or 20:30, and we'll be on for like 1 hour, 30 minutes. So have a great night, Mr. Mtonga. Enjoy.
All right. Good night.
So who's going on? Who's going to go? Yes, brother.
I'll pick it up. Yes, looking at the Bowman Lusambo issue and his appeal, I feel we need to, there's need for UPND, the president actually in this context, to look at the Concord bench. I am very much skeptical with that bench. That bench, I don't trust it. I have to be straight here. That bench is coming from the hands of Edgar Chagwalungu, and you know what it did and what it has been doing. So if we are not careful, that bench is not changed. You will see all the 5 seats that have been nullified. Kabushi, Kwacha, Kasama Central, Lunte, and Nakonde, they may be given back. They may be given back. There's a 61?
Chimwewe. Chimwewe just recently.
Chimwewe.
Yes.
Yeah. So I urge the president, using his newly appointed Chief Justice, to work on that bench. There should be some changes. Those PF cadres, those ladies, and some few gents there should be kicked out of that Concord. We should have people who are independent, people who are there to work independently, not people who are there to please the past regime because they were able to get a few coins here and there. So that concord should be looked at. Secondly, the issue of we are talking about the C5. Yeah, in the PF regime, there was a problem. These guys were not working. They were replaced by cadres and the so-called junks, the junkies. I don't know whether you were hearing about Tuafana. Those are the ones who were going around in the night. And a person who was maybe knocked off late from work to pull through to his home or her home, it used to be an issue. People could get beaten, people could get killed, people could get harmed. You see, because of these junks. I witnessed a situation where a couple fought, a wife and husband fought. The wife was beaten. What does the wife do? Went to pay these junks to say, I've been beaten by my wife, my husband. Those junks came, 6 of them, and they had to beat up the man. You know, they even entered into marital issues. So this is what was happening. And how do you expect the C5 to operate? Definitely they were put aside. So on the issue of C5, we need it to start working right now. And it should work professionally. And they should be trained. If there are other, we need some refresher courses where they acquire new techniques and acquire new skills so that they are well equipped to help us. We don't want UPND government to wait for the West to happen. That's when they will act. No, those who were in the PF regime. Prevention is better than cure, and it will do us good. Other than waiting for something West to happen, that's when we see this coming in, that coming in. No, we don't want that. This government should act quickly before anything which could have happened happens. Otherwise, the UPND government is on the right track. So those are my contributions I submit.
All right. Okay. Have a great night, Mr. Ipanga. We'll see you tomorrow as usual, 20 hours to 21:30, 22. So every day we are always here. So have a great night. Be blessed. And Brother Oscar has disappeared. So
please thank you and enjoy your night as well.
You too. Be blessed. See you tomorrow.
Please, thank you.
All right. Then I have one more last person. Chizoma Tobias. I'm closing shop right now. I'm tired. Had a crazy day at work. So, find us tomorrow, same time, 8 p.m. Zambian time till 22 around this time. So I was supposed to have Brother Oscar from Italy, but unfortunately, he seems to be having a little bit of trouble with the network. So let me just conclude and call it a night, because today is only Monday and I'm so tired. But, it is what it is. We're always, hustling, always doing a lot of things, because a lot of you just think we just do social media and do these live streams. Now we've got things that we do on, like full time, and we just do this part time. So this is one of the reasons why I usually love asking for your support in terms of sharing the videos that we do, because we are really sacrificing a lot and we're spending a lot of time just to make sure that you have this type of content. So kindly share this video on your timeline and in 5 different Facebook groups that you belong to, because it does help us get motivated to do this on a daily basis. Otherwise, it's not easy, especially when you're being labeled as Zamakadas, because a lot of people say, these are UPND Kadas and Shan Yiko. And by the way, we always allow people to have diverse opinions. So when you come to Z Corner, whatever you want to say, say it. We allow people to give us all their thoughts and opinions. We are not one-sided. And I really encourage my panelists to always be diverse and always say whatever they feel. They don't really have to feel like, Muna has got this way of thinking. They've got this type of philosophy. Just say whatever you want to say. Feel free. And we're also looking forward to having a lot of different guests. Even the Patriotic Front guests, MDC, MMD, NDC, just reach out to us saying, I want to be on Z Corner. I want to talk about this, and we'll arrange, so we are trying to do it different. We're not going to repeat what the Patriotic Front did to a lot of media platforms where they were sort of only one-sided. We disagree to be one-sided. We want everybody to have an equal and fair opportunity, regardless of your thoughts and your affiliations, because by the end of it all, we all want to make Zambia a better nation. We all want to progress. We all want to be wealthy. That's the end goal. So feel free to invite anybody. If you've got a business, if you're an entrepreneur, if you belong to any political party, feel free to participate. Moreover, I usually put the link in the comment section so that anybody can have access. So just simply join and give us your thoughts. Okay? Anyway, this is all I had for you. I have a few things coming up for you in the future. I'm going to be interviewing some millionaires, some Zambian millionaires, people who are running powerful businesses. So hopefully that is going to be very educational and motivational, and a lot of people are going to be inspired by it, because that's what we want to promote. We want to promote innovation, because we have discovered that a lot of Zambians think the only way that they can get rich is if they go into governance related roles, if they become a politician, if they become an MP. You can actually you can actually make way much more money being innovative, starting a business, and just being an entrepreneur, so that's what we are trying to promote. Of course, we need to talk about governance related issues, because it gets to affect our society. Everybody gets to get affected if bad people are leading. So this is one of the reasons why we have to make sure that the population is educated. Everybody knows what's happening. And right now, Zambians are aware of what's happening with relation to, cabinet, the government, and all that stuff. People are woke right now. So 2026 will be a very tough election, because Zambians are sober. Zambians know what they want. They know who they don't like. They know what is going to make them develop. So it's very important. The citizens need to be educated. Sensitization, making sure that everybody reaches relevant information reaches to all four corners of Zambia, if you know what I mean. So that is the only way we are going to progressively and collectively develop as a nation, because we want everybody to have equal rights, equal opportunities. We just don't want to have opportunities in Lusaka or the Copper Belt or Northwestern Province. Everybody within Zambia should feel like they can make it. And we can only do this by lobbying for development. And this can only happen if citizens participate in electing credible and proper leaders. Anyhow, enough talking. So I have been your humble host, Mnalula, the unofficial Litunga. So I'll talk to you tomorrow. Please make a date every day, 8 p.m. Zambian time, 20 hours to around 22 hours. We are always here. So I will see you tomorrow. So remember, share this video right now in 5 different groups and on your timeline. Talk to you later. Have a great night and God bless you.